Texas fans for about 10 years wanted to be able to legitimately say that they're back, but we will certainly let them do that because 2 college football playoff appearances in a row, you're back. Also, when it comes to recruiting, back in the mix for one, Ezavier EJ Crowell.
Yeah, Crowell is a running back that we've talked a lot about. We said it, I believe, on the last show. It looked like Texas was out, obviously, with their former running backs coach heading to the NFL, heading to the Detroit Lions, declining that Dallas Cowboy shot. We thought that Steve Sarkisian was not going to have to do too much rehiring, but again, there really was an urgency, but not an over sense of urgency. Texas has made the new hire for the West Virginia new running back coach, and he immediately didn't waste any time. This was a question: would Crowell be able to get back in the good graces? Would Texas be back in the running? And it appears that Chad Scott from West Virginia, the new Texas, the former running backs coach, is now over at Texas. Made a lot of segue this past weekend, and Crowell has put Texas back in the running. They will see an official visit from him. This is a huge get. Obviously, he's one of the most talented running backs, not only in the state of Alabama, but also in the country. Even though we talk a lot about nowadays that a lot of these recruitments aren't a package deal, you can't help but wonder that some of these places that are also in need of a quarterback will be recruiting not only Crowell, but also his partner in crime, his quarterback over at Jackson, 4-star blue chip in you know sorry, coming down. I had a little bit of a thought in Landon Duckworth. We got a lot of QBs on my mind, but Landon Duckworth, is QB over there at Jackson, Alabama. They've been a highly recruited duo. Again, we're not hearing that they're a package deal, but we also are hearing a lot of rumblings at some of these schools to watch, especially in Cromwell's recruitment, are also looking at Duckworth, another quarterback that I didn't put in our notes, but like I said, it all kind of goes about that full circle we talk about. When one dominoes falls, it opens the room. So another name to be looking at that, in this whole QB triangle would be Jared Curtis, obviously with Jonas Williams decommitting from Oregon. Jared Curtis immediately came out talking about how now it's down to, I believe, Georgia and Oregon. But going back to Cromwell, Texas is back in the mix. He's set to take an official on June 6th. Also looking to visit Georgia on the 30th. Auburn on the 13th, Florida State on the 15th, and Alabama on the 20th. We are hearing that Alabama is making an extremely hard push to keep Crowell, obviously, in the state of Alabama. He's just got an elite talent that you don't want to lose when you're Alabama. Definitely looking to bolster that running back room. So while Crowell's, talked to some of our colleagues on the national circuit that he's not in a rush to make his decision. He's definitely doesn't want to make it before his senior season. But while Texas is back in the mix, the new running backs coach obviously has made up ground in that transition. So we see Texas to be in the front running, but really look out for Alabama trying to make that late push. And they've been recruiting him really strongly, and he really has, could see himself being, staying in home and playing down in Tuscaloosa.
On the move every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time with myself and Leanne Herring. Make it a part of your college football week every week, Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. A few times do we see arguably the best player in the country coming out of the state of Missouri, and it would be definitely a huge win for Eli Drinkwitz to keep Jackson Cantwell home, a guy that we've talked about show after show after show. His official visit list is out, and he's going to be pretty busy for about 6 consecutive weekends.
Yes, come that March 1st, and we have to remember these are just their official visits that are set. Obviously, we haven't really gone on the air with official visits as far as kind of, I know some of the other channels that talk recruiting. When you talk about official visits, these are obviously paid for the university, but the ones that you really want to watch when it comes to recruiting are also the unofficial visits that we're going to be talking a lot about in spring. So Cantwell, be on the watch for not only his official visits, but also if a school can get an unofficial visit along with their unofficial visit, those are the schools that are hot. Like they say, track the visits, and you can kind of tell it as the dominoes start to fall. But again, he's such a big framed offensive tackle. He's just got extreme athleticism. He's just got a really strong strength for his size and his demeanor. Again, I think he's close. He's almost close to 6'7" and 6'8". I know they have him as 6'7.5", but I would say he's probably closer to 6'8", if I'm wrong on that. But he's, like I said, pretty big athletic frame, extremely functional. When you see him not only on the field, another thing that really resonates, he's one of those offensive tackles that just, and those linemen that really just test wells. When you see him on these different circuits, he's really good at anchoring down on that line of scrimmage. Again, he's going to make somebody extremely happy. I see him being one of those players that could easily be in the mix early on. As a second, no, maybe not a starter, but he definitely has that potential. And I say that when we talk about bloodlines, Jackson Cantwell is Mr. Football. They also call him Mr. Olympic, but I say Mr. Football because he's another tight end who was converted to an offensive lineman. So again, that's becoming another popular selling point for many of these programs. Both his parents are former Olympians. And that really has resonated in the way he's trained and really how he does his off season, readiness and demeanor. But going back to what we see here, Miami will open up the visits for Cantwell. He's going to be there that first week of May 9th through the 11th. Mizzou, like you said, hoping to keep this in-state talent. They would be foolish not to be pushing for him. So I think Mizzou getting an official visit is very strong for them. Obviously, a lot of these kids, as much as they know that their talent will translate in other big Power 4 programs, there's something about staying close to home that often seems appealing. And in a place like Mizzou, it would be no question that Cantwell would be an instant impact player. So that's got to be enticing for this elite blue chip offensive tackle. Then he's going to round out, like you said, he's going to be pretty busy when it comes all of June. He'll be hitting Athens for UGA on the 6th through the 8th, and Michigan 13th through 15th, and Ohio State is to be determined. So we shall see. And like you said, Oregon will definitely has been talking about in the mix. But again, we should see this list slim down. But it'll be interesting to see what unofficial visits that Cantwell may take. But again, phenomenal athlete. Like I said, it doesn't hurt that his parents were both Olympians. And again, that really does translate in his athletic talent. Again, he's just one of those guys that could really thrive. Again, you don't get many tight ends who can become successful with that size as an offensive tackle.